Hello, this is Kyou of Kyou System. It's honestly a little bit late right now when I'm recording this, but it's been a little bit since I last uploaded anything, and I wanted to try and at least get something out, and more than that, have some thoughts that have been churning around in my head, and I figured rather than trying to sleep on them, which might not necessarily result in too good of sleep, that perhaps I could kill two birds with one stone, as the expression goes, and talk about it in an episode like this, and hopefully, get some closure or figure something out. To be totally honest with you, I've had a lot on my plate for a little while now, between just everything that's gone on this year, really, between having a lot of stress at work at my day job, having a lot of issues with different health problems that have come up, like catching COVID, then developing a complication from that, and then developing another complication during the treatment of the first one, and just having chronic pain from that is only just within the last month or so actually started to dissipate and get back under control. Getting really close and involved with someone romantically, the most promising relationship I had been in, and years and years and years, and then that ending kind of abruptly, and getting very suddenly ending, and just getting no real closure or resolution from that. While I was having all the chronic pain from the other health conditions, and all the stress from the work situation that I was in. It's all been a lot, suffice it to say. And only just now have things actually started to quiet down a bit. And again, it's taken, strictly speaking, at the time I'm recording this, it is August now, August 1st. And I'm only just now, because everything started with, I've had stuff going on continuously since January, so it has taken until August of this year to reach a point where I can actually say with some level of confidence that things are quieting down. And it has taken quite a toll on me in many different ways. It's very frustrating to see that there have been these regressions in my mental health and the like, especially considering how desperately hard I fought to get to the point where I was. Now, it's not like a major backsliding or anything like that, but I just, yeah. But that, in addition to all that, just trying to talk with, trying to socialize, trying to fight back against the isolation that has been my oldest and most persistent foe. And then having all sorts of other issues come up where I'm trying to talk with, hearing about issues with friends where it's like I have one friend who has been trapped in an abusive marriage for a while, and trying to talk to them and help them through that, and have another friend who evidently just got dumped. They were in a relationship that seemed pretty unhealthy for a while, and they just got dumped. And trying to, and worrying about them and trying to figure out, okay, well, I want to be there to support them through that. And I don't know. I'm doing my best, but I have my limits. And there's just been so much with this year. And the main thing that first, that prompted, because I had other stuff that I wanted to talk about in my next episode, and that I will probably talk about here pretty soon. Not in this one, but stuff I still do want to talk about. But I'm talking about this instead because, like, okay, so I recently, well, not super recently, but so I have a keyboard, like a digital piano that I have been playing and practicing on for a while, and I have an acoustic guitar that I got not that long ago that I have, generally been trying to practice and play with, and I just recently also got an electric guitar in a similar type of situation, and I noticed that, when I first started with all of this, it wasn't really an issue, but somewhere along the way, I guess, as part of these mental health regressions that have been going on as a result of everything I've been through this year, I noticed this weird nagging sort of feeling that, no matter how I tried to dismiss it, it just kept coming back up. And it was this feeling where it's like, because I wasn't practicing, because I wasn't playing regularly, doing the technical exercises regularly for guitar and piano, that I was going to disappoint people. Like, because I was taking piano lessons with my grandmother, and then, another thing that happened this year, she got hospitalized after breaking her femur, which was very stressful, to say the least. She's fine. Mercifully, she's recovered, but the lessons we were taking got out of the normal routine, was completely thrown off, and as a result of that, like between that happening and then all the other chronic pain, being kept up at night, other stuff that was going on with me at the time, my routine and practicing got thrown off. And so, even though things were going so well for so long, like well over a year, I was taking these lessons. Now there's this irrational thought where it's like, well, because I've not been practicing like I was before, because I've not been doing the exercises, I've not been, constantly learning and growing and et cetera, that I'm like a disappointment. It'd be disappointment to her, and as a pianist, however you pronounce it, and similar with it started to bleed over into the guitar. Even though I got the guitar, I never was trying to, because when I started playing these musical instruments in the first place, it was never supposed to be about me becoming some kind of, like a virtuoso, or trying to become like a teacher or professional or anything like that. It was literally just a means for me to try and understand music better, so I could compose for my own works, just to have fun with it. But now it's like I keep getting haunted by this thought where it's like, well, it's this sort of cycle, right? Where it's like I'm reluctant. I find myself reluctant to practice some days because it's like, well, you're already feeling guilty from not practicing as much as you should, and feeling like, oh, you're failing as a musician or as a student or whatever, because you're not practicing like you're supposed to. Like, because, with my, grandmother gave me the piano lessons, and then, my dad is a big guitar player. He's been playing for years and years. And so now it's like, now that he knows that I've been getting into it and that I've been trying to learn how to play, it's like, again, this irrational feeling has metastasized, and now it's like, well, he is, you're going to disappoint him if you don't, if you just stop playing, or not that I want to stop playing, but, because I'm not playing as much as I should, it's this just ingrained guilt, and sense that, you're going to be this failure, this disappointment. And again, I keep trying to tell myself, it's like, no, that's not, obviously it's not true. It's not, I don't have that kind of relationship with them. It's never been that kind of dynamic at all. And both of them have told me multiple occasions that it's like, it's, playing instruments, this, creating music is supposed to be fun, right? But it's just, despite me trying to remind myself of that, is this feeling where it's like, if they knew that you were actually slacking off and being lazy, that kind of thing, they would be so disappointed, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it's like, I'll tell you what it is. It's an indication that my mental health has regressed. My level of keeping these sorts of intrusive thoughts and moods and the like under control is not the same as it was, and that's extremely frustrating to say the least. But it's like I'm trying to be reasonable with myself about it, where it's like, okay, again, like I mentioned earlier, I've had all sorts of horrible things happening to me this year, and I've literally only just within the past couple of weeks, I've started to reach a point where it's like, all right, I'm back to something like a normal baseline. Things aren't super stressful or super painful and so forth. And I think after everything that I've been through, if anyone had gone through all of that, I think it's to be expected that it would have taken a great toll on them mentally and emotionally. And physically as well, because of the health issues. So I don't think it's unreasonable, or I don't think it's realistic to expect that I would not have any kind of regression or backslide after having gone through all of that. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating. It doesn't make it any less just like a sour feeling in my stomach. And it's like, well, what can I do? Obviously I just have to, it's like, okay, now that things are back under control, now that things are quieted down, I guess it's like, all right, I guess take inventory or get a sense of where I'm at now and just get back on track and start trying to move forward again. And it's like, all right, that's fine. I've endured worse, I've come back from worse, but like this feeling of having regressed after having fought so hard to gain the ground that I did is pretty awful, to be blunt. Not to make this a super depressing episode or anything like that. I do at least feel a little better having vocalized it and actually talked about it versus just having it continue to echo endlessly and reverberate inside of my head like it has been. And if you have sat through this and listened to it and taken it in, then I genuinely appreciate it, since it's mostly just been me whining and feeling sorry for myself, I suppose. I do genuinely appreciate that. And I hope that you have been well, and that you haven't had any major issues going on in your life. And I hope you take care, and I look forward to spending time with you in the next episode.